Welcome to the Strength Lab podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Ramsey, and I want to talk about some misconceptions of strength training. So I went to ChatGPT and typed in what are some confusing or misunderstood concepts of strength training. And it shot out a list of like 28 things. So I want to kind of go through them, talk about them, and kind of give my take on what's confusing and then kind of some truth that could be on each of these topics. Before we get into that, I want to thank Titan Nutrition. Their supplements are great. I love their protein, their pre-workouts. I take their carbs, their electrolytes, and their BCAAs intra-workout. Mix that with coconut water. Great. Link will be in the description, and you can use code Ramsey Strength for 20% off. If you order more than $99, you get free shipping. So make sure to click on that link and use that code. Also, Cerberus Strength USA. Make sure it's on the USA website, and you can use Ramsey 10 for 10% off all strength equipment, elbow sleeves, wrist straps, knee sleeves, and then also some like sandbags, anything kind of strongman related. They have equipment for that. First, I want to talk about progressive overload. I made a episode about this last week, so I really don't want to go too depth in this one, but make sure to check out progressive overload. So many people think that strength training is just lifting heavier weights. Um, but it's really about increasing the intensity over time, and uh between like adding more weight, more reps, more sets, and then improving your technique. Um, Another misconception is rest and recovery. A lot of people underestimate the importance of rest. They think they need to build strength every day or train every day. Usually, when you train, you're breaking your muscles down, you're destroying your nervous system. So the truth is, recovery is super important for strength gains. Muscles take time to repair and grow, and that's also where nutrition comes into play. But overtraining can lead to injury or even go backwards in exercises. So rest, sleep, and active recovery days are super vital to your strength gains and just your mental stability and strength. Uh, the difference between compound and isolation exercise is kind of a misunderstanding when you're a beginner going into the gym. So a lot of beginners get confused with the importance of compound exercises and maybe just focus on isolation exercises like a bicep curl. Uh, so they could be going away from the squats and the deadlifts and the presses and just focusing on bicep curl or lateral raise. But really, the compound exercises recruit the most muscle groups and are far more effective in building overall strength and even muscle mass. So even though isolation exercises can be helpful in targeting specific muscle groups, it shouldn't be the foundation of your program. But that's where the hypertrophy work and the accessory work can be those things for muscle groups. So I like to do those after a main movement for the day. The next thing that a lot of people misunderstand is people believe that form isn't as important as just lifting heavy or fast, leading to bad technique that can cause injury. I mean, the truth is, proper form is crucial to prevent injury and to ensure you're hitting the right muscles. So this is where you need to, if you're looking at a machine, you look at the machine and it's like showing what muscles it's working. You need to make sure that you're feeling it in those muscles. And you could also slow down the exercise. You could lighten the weight. So then you're really focusing on the form. Excuse me. Even small errors in technique can derail the progress and lead to chronic injuries. The importance of nutrition. My last couple podcasts with people, they've always mentioned nutrition, nutrition, nutrition. Uh, you think just going into the gym, deadlifting 600, you're going to get strong. Next week, you're going to deadlift 650. Wait for that, you're going to deadlift 700. Probably not going to happen, especially if you are more elite or more advanced. It's going to take more time to get to those gains. But people often focus only on training and neglecting the nutrition, believing that building muscle and strength without proper fuel. Nutrition is super essential, not just protein, but also carbs for your fuel and fats for your hormonal balance. A balanced diet can make or break your progress. Let's talk a little bit of differences between strength and hypertrophy. So many people confuse that the strength training and hypertrophy, which is muscle growth, are the same thing. They are not. Strength training typically focuses on lower reps of 1 to 6 reps. With heavier weights, you're trying to use a maximal force output, while hypertrophy training focuses on 6 to 12, maybe even 15, with moderate rate weight with tempos to promote muscle size. So the important thing is to put muscle on, so then you have the potential to build strength after that. But there is an overlap, and you should focus on both methods. Both methods. Wow, that's a tongue twister right there. Another misunderstanding: a warm up and a cool down. I know some people are pressed for time with kids, work, stuff like that, but you should not skip warm ups or cool downs. Um, you think they are unnecessary, but this really prepares your body for heavy lifting and can reduce injury. You can also fine tune technique on your warm ups. So a little thing I like to do is the main movement that I'm going to be doing that day is I start with the bar on that, and do 8 to 10 reps, and make sure that bar feels like the bar should. Uh, let's say your max is 315 on the bench. You know what 135 should feel like. If it's feeling super heavy, your nervous system is not primed to keep going up. So you need to make sure the 135 feels like it's supposed to. You can start with the bar, and then I also like to pair that with an antagonist muscle group. So if you're doing bench, it could be a row or pull down or face pull, something that's working the opposite of the chest, the pressing muscles. You're going to do the antagonist, which would be the back muscles. Uh, Good for posture, just good to warm up the base for your exercise. The role of supplements. Many people can get confused with that supplements are the magic pills and they will dramatically improve your strength. Supplements like protein powder or creatine are helpful, very researched, but they are just that. They are supplements. They are the fill in the gaps to what you need to have if you're not getting it from food. But your main goal should be from whole foods. But if you're not getting if you don't eat, red meat, you need to supplement with creatine. Or if you have a hard time getting in your protein, it's okay to throw in a protein powder once or twice a day to help you get those protein and help fuel and recover. But they should not replace your proper training, your nutrition, or your recovery. You need to focus on those things. The supplements just fill in the gaps. Heavy lifting for strength or light lifting for tone. What's confusing about this? The myth is that lifting heavier weights with higher reps will tone muscles, and lifting heavy weights will bulk your muscles. Lifting heavy weights can help you build strength and muscle, and lifting lighter weights with high reps can still lead to strength gains and muscle growth, although they differ in rep ranges. But both approaches should be used in a well-rounded program. Consistency. The importance of consistency, people get confused a lot. They feel like they can only do a couple of intense workouts that will show huge results, but they don't realize that consistency over months and years is the real true key. Especially in strength training, it takes so long. Even in like the newbie gain phase, which is like 1 to 3 years, you can see crazy progress if you just stay with it. But after that is when you could start hitting plateaus with your strength, and you're going to see smaller gains, but it's going to take such a longer time to do that. So that's where people fall off. So if you really want to be good at this, it's the consistency and taking the time to really, really optimize everything. So with that, progress isn't linear. You're not just gonna keep going up. The line is like this, but if you zoom in on the line, it's like this, slowly going up the whole time. Uh, but the consistent effort over time leads to significant improvements. Muscle soreness and the progress. So what is confusing or misleading about that? Some equate the soreness with a good workout and believe that more soreness equals more gains. That means you need to try and recover more if you're destroyed after a leg workout and you can't walk for 5 days or the next time you hit legs. But it's not a direct correlation with strength gains. Um, while some of the soreness may indicate that your muscles are trying to adapt, it's not the requirement for progress. I just talked with Todd Lauder on the last one. He said anybody can make you tired. So, I mean, just because you go in and you're tired after workout doesn't mean it was optimal. But you can still build strength without always feeling sore. The pain, no gain mentality. So, what's confusing according to ChatGPT? Some people push through pain thinking it's their only way to improve, often leading to injury or burnout. Pain is a signal of something that's going wrong. While in the gym, you're going to feel some type of discomfort when lifting, uh, which that's normal on muscles. But sharp or acute pain is a sign you need to stop and assess what you're doing uh, to hopefully not injure yourself and regress in your strength training program. Training frequency. Many people think that we need to train a muscle group every day or very frequently to grow or get stronger. This could be towards more smaller muscle groups you can train more frequently because it doesn't take so long for them to recover. But if you're doing more movement based or bigger muscle groups, you really need to make sure you're giving those adequate time to rest. So for some advanced lifters may benefit from training certain muscle groups more often. Uh, but for most people, training a large group 2 to 3 times a week is enough. Have a nice 72 hours in between those muscle groups and optimize recovery, and you will make the most gains. Overtraining without adequate recovery can hinder the progress and increase injury risk. So this is kind of where I talked with someone and they mentioned that they may not believe in overtraining per se. It's just that you are just training so hard that you're not focusing on recovery, so you're not getting your protein in, you're not getting your carbohydrates for to fuel your workouts and the carbohydrates after to replace your glycogen stores. You're not hydrating, you're not getting your electrolytes, you're not sleeping. So that is what's making you undertrained. It's not just the workouts. You're not focusing on all the things you need to after the 1 hour workout, the 23 hours after. Periodization. So many people may not understand the concept of periodization, but I mean, it involves the intensity, your volume, and how your progress is over time. But periodization helps avoid plateaus. It reduces the risk of overtraining and allows for sustained progress. Instead of always lifting heavy or at a high intense, you kind of want to cycle between the phases of strength, hypertrophy, and recovery. I did an episode about this of having a muscle building block before a strength block, have work capacity before muscle or high work capacity before strength block, and having that muscle mass can help turn your strength potential even higher. So that's kind of what periodization is. You'd have a small block of work capacity focusing on hypertrophy, and then you go to a more heavier, lower rep base training program. Strength and strength versus endurance. Most people confuse that strength training with endurance training. They think lifting for endurance will lead to strength or that focusing on strength will help with endurance, but that's really not the case. Strength training is lower reps, high weight, and endurance training is high reps and low weight. Obviously, that's different. Strength training primarily focuses on producing maximal force, while endurance focuses on sustained effort over long periods of time. So this would be like um, timed sets or reps over six with submaximal weights. There is crossover in between the two, but training specifically for one will not directly translate to the other. Here, this is gonna piss some people off. The myth of spot reduction. You have those people that come in and it's like, oh, I just want to tone up this part right here, or I want to get lose it here. Yes, you can build muscle in those areas, but it's really going to come down to diet, nutrition, hydration, and stuff like that. So the confusing, most people believe that they can target fat loss in specific areas, maybe like the belly or thighs, through certain exercises. But spot reduction does not work. Fat loss happens throughout the body based on your calorie expenditure, not by isolating specific muscle groups. Strength training helps build muscle, but fat loss requires a combination of cardio, nutrition, and strength training. Bodyweight training versus weightlifting. Some people think that bodyweight exercises, this could be push-ups, squats, lunges, aren't effective in building strength compared to with lifting weights. I've had a couple coaches on here say that the basics are what they always go back to. You don't need to be doing the crazy shit you see online. Uh, you know, bands hanging off everything, doing some upside down twisty bullshit. That's not optimal. Bodyweight exercises are incredibly effective for building strength, um, but you need to focus on progression of those things. Maybe adding reps, sets, different variations, and then you can. Um, it depends really on your goal, but strength bodyweight training can be very beneficial more than weights. But make sure you're consistently doing those things. The role of core strength. Many people think training the core only means doing crunches or planks. Not saying that those won't help, but the core strength is more about just than like the isolation exercises. A strong core involves the stabilizing muscles, which are used and are important in almost every compound lift, squats, presses, deadlifts. A strong core prevents injury and allows for better performance in heavy lifts. This is where the bracing comes in. This is where a belt comes in. You don't just wear a belt just to save your back. It's helped to have your stomach brace against something and have that rigidness to keep you upright, keep you strong. Strength gains and genetics. People often think that they don't see rapid strength gains. They are genetically uh, predispositioned to be weak. Not saying that genetics don't play a role. They do. They play a huge factor in muscle fiber composition and like how fast you can recover. Almost anyone can make significant strength gains through consistent and a well-designed program. If you're looking for a good program or one-on-one training or home gym training, there's a link in the description to contact me to help you get stronger and help you set up in wherever you're at. Progress may be slower for some, but everyone has the potential to improve. Overcomplicating the program. Many beginners think they need to follow complicated programs or use exotic equipment to see results. This is kind of going back to the basics, about two questions up. Oftentimes, being simple and consistent is the best program. Focusing on compound lifts, squats, deadlifts, presses. And this isn't going in your first time throwing on 500 pounds. You can do the bar. Do the bar for 10 reps. Next week, do the bar for 12 reps. Next week, do the bar for 15 reps. You're doing more reps. That's a good progression. You could do 10 reps with the bar. You could add 5 pounds to each side. You could do 10 reps. Lots of ways to show progression. But you also need to combine that with progressive overload, I just talked about, and good nutrition, and the results will come. The overcomplication things will lead to burnout and possibly, just being confused. That's kind of what this list is of confusing topics, kind of trying to go over them. Cardio and strength training. People often think cardio and strength training don't mix and that doing one will negatively affect the other, like running will hurt your strength gains. There's a good strongman, Mitchell Hooper, who ran for 30 days while he was training for a big competition, and it actually helped all of his lifts, which was super awesome to see. Uh, Both cardio and strength training can complement each other. Strength training builds muscle and strength, while cardio helps improve your cardiovascular health. And if you're in any sport, most of them you need to be strong and you need to be fast. So it's okay to balance out the two. Uh, but the key is to balance them properly. Uh, Excessive cardio without strength training can hinder muscle growth, and excessive strength training without cardio can impact your endurance. So they play a part in each other. The role of machines versus free weights. Many people believe machines are better for isolating muscle groups and are safer, while free weights are riskier and require more skill. So both have their place in the gym. That's why they have them. Machines are super useful for beginners or those who are concerned with an injury. You're not going to have that shakiness of a dumbbell or a barbell. You know, if you had a shoulder injury or something, you're going to have that same tempo, tension, all at the same time. Free weights, however, engage more stabilizing muscles and can provide a more functional workout, especially for strength development. A balanced routine could incorporate both. Understanding reps, sets, and weight for different goals. People sometimes don't understand how to adjust reps, sets, and weight for specific goals, strength, hypertrophy, or endurance. We kind of touched on this a little bit ago. Generally, for strength, you'll use heavier weights for fewer reps, 1 to 6 reps per set. For hypertrophy, you will use this is muscle growth. You'll use a moderate weight with moderate reps, 6 to 12. For muscular endurance, lighter weights for higher reps, 15 plus. Tailor your rep range and weight helps optimize your training for your specific goal. The effect on age of strength training. Older individuals might think that strength training is too risky or ineffective as they age. Bullshit. Strength training is incredibly beneficial at any age, including as you get older. It helps maintain bone density, muscle mass, and functional strength, and it can reduce risk of injury and overall quality of health. Proper programming and focus on joint health are key for older adults. There's been so much research coming out that certain muscle groups and certain exercises are key indicators for how long you're going to live or how prone you are to not get injured or to get injured. So there's lots of research on that, which is super, super awesome to see that people are really trying to help the older adults. Over reliance on machines or isolation exercises for beginners. Beginners may think that they should start only with machines to get the feel for lifting. While machines can be helpful, especially for beginners, learning to perform basic movements, squats, deadlifts, and presses with proper form should be prioritized. These are your foundational movement patterns. I did a episode, this is probably like my third episode out on this podcast about the most foundational muscle groups or foundational movement patterns: squats, hinge, press, pull, and carry. These build a solid foundation and engage multiple muscle groups at the same time. Body composition changes versus weight loss. People often think that strength training will automatically lead to weight loss, or they should focus on scale rather than body composition. Strength training can lead to fat loss and muscle gain, which is the body composition. You can do this through a DEXA scan, an in-body scan, something like that. But this stuff won't show up on the scale, uh, which may not show up as a significant weight loss on the scale, but will result in better body composition. You can do this by skin folds. You can measure, and that'll show you have more muscle, less fat. Focus on how your clothes fit and how you feel rather than the scale weight. Smash that bitch with a hammer. Consistency in loading and rest periods. Some people do not know how to balance rest periods and loading during their workouts. The amount of rest between your sets is important for different goals. For strength, it could be 2 to 5 minutes of rest to allow you provide maximal effort for every set. For more muscle growth, hypertrophy, it could be 30 to 90 seconds. But really, the rest period should manage fatigue and recovery and impact the effectiveness of the workout. I know you You watch, some of the people that compete in strongman, they're doing all these sets to work up to 900, 1,000 pounds on deadlift. They're taking 10, 15 minutes in between each set because it's so taxing. Uh, but then also it kind of depends on if you're training for an event and you have to have a time, you kind of try to tailor that to the time that you're doing. Um, and this could also be if you're in a sport, a football play is shorter than plays in a basketball game. So if you kind of equate your training to how that could be, that could also help and be beneficial to you. So those are the top 28 misunderstood, confusing topics that ChatGPT kind of spit out, and kind of wanted to go over like what's confusing about it and then what the kind of the truth is behind those things. I thank you for tuning in and listening. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to check out Titan Nutrition. Be sure to check out Cerberus Strength USA. If you have any questions about programming or need a coach, there's a sign up sheet down in the description. We can get started and see what your goals are, what you want to achieve, stuff like that. Be sure to win the day, take every day, and make it the best that you can. Thanks for watching. Peace.